Hey warriors, welcome back to the channel. I want to tell you about the exact moment I learned that walking away is more powerful than fighting back. I was 26, sitting across from someone I had invested 3 years into. A friendship I'd defended, sacrificed for, and rebuilt a dozen times. And in that moment, watching them dismiss my boundaries like they were suggestions, I felt something shift. Not anger, not sadness, clarity. I stood up, said nothing, and left. No explanation, no argument, no closure. That silence, that exit, that refusal to engage one more time, it changed everything. Not just with them, but with how I moved through the world from that point forward. 3 months later, they reached out, not to apologize, but to understand why I disappeared. And that's when I realized the truth Machiavelli tried to teach us centuries ago. Power isn't in the fight, it's in the exit. It's in knowing exactly when to remove your presence and let the void do the work your words never could. Right now, you're stuck in something. Maybe it's a relationship that died 2 years ago, but you're still trying to revive. Maybe it's a friendship where you're the only one putting in effort. Maybe it's a job that extracts your soul every morning, or a family dynamic that hasn't respected you since childhood. You know you should leave. You feel it in your chest every single day, but you stay. Why? Because you've been conditioned to believe that quitting is failure, that walking away makes you weak, that loyalty means enduring suffering. But that's the lie that keeps powerful people chained to mediocrity. The truth is this: staying in the wrong place doesn't make you strong. It makes you a volunteer for your own destruction. Machiavelli understood something most people spend their entire lives refusing to accept. The ability to walk away, completely and without hesitation, is the most feared form of power you can possess. He wrote that a wise prince must know when to change course, when to abandon alliances that no longer serve him, and when to disappear from battles that cannot be won. This wasn't cowardice, it was strategy, because the moment you can leave anything without regret, you become uncontrollable. People can't manipulate someone who doesn't need them. They can't leverage someone who's already detached. Your willingness to walk away is the only leverage you'll ever truly need. But here's what makes this so difficult. Society has weaponized the word quitter. They've made you believe that endurance equals virtue, that suffering through the wrong situation proves your character. So you stay in toxic relationships to prove you're not shallow. You remain in soul-crushing jobs to prove you're not lazy. You tolerate disrespect from family to prove you're not cold. And every day you stay, you lose a piece of the person you were meant to become. You're not being noble, you're being erased. The world doesn't reward loyalty to the wrong things. It rewards those who know when to cut the cord and redirect their energy toward what actually matters. Today I'm going to show you Machiavelli's exit strategy, the exact framework that allows you to walk away from anything or anyone without guilt, without doubt, and with the kind of quiet power that makes people feel your absence like a loss they can't recover from. This isn't about rage quitting or burning bridges out of emotion. This is about calculated departure, strategic disappearance, the kind of exit that shifts the power dynamic permanently because you're no longer available to be taken for granted. There are 7 principles in this strategy, and each one will teach you not just when to walk away, but how to do it in a way that protects your peace and commands respect, even in your absence. By the end of this, you'll understand why the people who can walk away always hold more power than the ones who stay and fight. You'll see why silence after an exit is more devastating than any argument you could ever win. and you'll learn how to make your absence so profound that it becomes the loudest statement you've ever made. Because here's the truth: most people will never accept. The moment you're willing to lose everything is the moment you become impossible to control, and that terrifies the people who've been feeding off your inability to leave. Machiavelli once said, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." But I'd add this: the first sign of wisdom in any person is their ability to remove themselves from what diminishes them. The intelligent don't just choose who to keep close. They master the art of who to remove, when to remove them, and how to disappear without leaving a door open for return. That's what separates the powerful from the powerless. One group stays because they're afraid. The other leaves because they're certain. Before we begin, I need you to do something. Drop this in the comments right now. I will walk away when staying costs me myself. Say it. Mean it. Because after today, you won't just understand the power of the exit. You'll become someone who uses it like a weapon. Let's begin. The first thing you need to understand is this: most people never leave because they're addicted to the potential of what could be, not the reality of what is. You stay because you remember the good days. You tolerate the present because you're hoping for a future that never comes. This is the trap. Hope without evidence is just denial in disguise. Machiavelli knew that princes who bet on hope instead of reality lose their kingdoms. You're losing yours too. Every day you invest in the wrong person, the wrong place, the wrong belief. You're spending resources you'll never get back. Time, energy, self-respect. The cost of staying is always higher than the cost of leaving, but you won't see the bill until years later when you look back and realize how much of yourself you sacrificed for something that was never going to change. Walking away isn't about anger. It's about mathematics. You calculate what you're putting in versus what you're getting back, and when the equation no longer makes sense, you exit. No drama, no explanation, just a clean, silent departure. But most people can't do this because they're emotionally invested in being right. They want the other person to admit they were wrong. They want an apology, closure, some kind of validation that their suffering meant something. This is why they stay trapped. They're waiting for permission to leave from the very person who benefits from them staying. That's insanity. Machiavelli warned that the wise never wait for consensus when the situation demands action. You don't need anyone's approval to protect yourself. You don't need their understanding to reclaim your peace. The moment you realize you're diminished by their presence, you have all the permission you'll ever need. Let me tell you what happens in the mind of someone who's never learned to walk away. They create narratives to justify staying. They tell themselves, "It's not that bad," or "Everyone struggles," or "I've already invested so much, I can't quit now." This is called the sunk cost fallacy, and it destroys more lives than failure ever will. The idea that because you've already suffered, you must continue suffering to make that suffering worthwhile. It's illogical, it's emotional, and it keeps you locked in situations that should have ended years ago. The ruthless understand that past investment is irrelevant. What matters is whether continuing forward serves your goals. If it doesn't, you cut it immediately, without sentimentality. Here's the part nobody tells you. The people who benefit from your inability to walk away can sense it. They know you won't leave. They've tested your boundaries 100 times and watched you stay every single time. So they stop respecting those boundaries altogether. Why would they? You've trained them to believe that no matter what they do, you'll be there. Your presence has become guaranteed, and anything guaranteed loses its value. This is human psychology at its darkest. People don't value what they can't lose. The moment you become predictable, you become disposable. They'll keep you around because you're useful, but they'll never respect you, because respect is reserved for those who can walk away. Machiavelli observed that fear of loss maintains order better than the promise of gain. When people know you can leave, they treat your presence like a privilege. When they know you won't, they treat it like a right. The shift happens the moment you demonstrate that you're not afraid of the exit. Not through threats, not through ultimatums. Through action, one day you're simply gone. No warning, no negotiation, just absence. And that absence creates a vacuum they feel immediately. Suddenly, the person who was always there, always forgiving, always available, is nowhere to be found. That's when the panic sets in. That's when they start to realize what they lost. But by then, you're already too far gone to care. The power of walking away lies in its finality. It's not a tactic to get someone to chase you. It's not a game to make them appreciate you more. It's a genuine reclamation of your energy and your time. The weak walk away and look back, hoping for a reaction. The powerful walk away and never turn around. They don't need to see the aftermath, because the decision wasn't made for the other person. It was made for themselves. This is the difference between manipulation and mastery. Manipulation uses the exit as leverage. Mastery uses it as liberation. When you walk away for yourself, you're free the moment you take the first step. When you walk away to control someone else, you're still chained to their response. Now let's talk about the exact moment you should walk away. There's a signal most people ignore because they don't want to accept what it means. It's the moment you stop feeling like yourself around someone. The moment you start editing your words, suppressing your opinions, shrinking your energy to make them comfortable. When you notice you're performing instead of existing, that's your sign. You've stopped being a person and become a character in someone else's story. Machiavelli said that a prince must never lose his nature in pursuit of approval. The same applies to you. The moment you sacrifice your authenticity to maintain a relationship, you've already lost yourself. And if you've lost yourself, what exactly are you fighting to keep? People stay in these situations because they confuse history with value. They think because someone knew them for years, that person deserves eternal access. But time doesn't equal worth. Longevity doesn't mean loyalty. Some people stay in your life for a decade and contribute nothing but weight. Others appear for 6 months and change your entire trajectory. The intelligent measure relationships by impact, not duration. Ask yourself this: does this person make me better or just busier? Do they add to my peace or subtract from it? Am I growing in their presence or just older? These questions will tell you everything you need to know. And if the answers make you uncomfortable, that discomfort is your intuition begging you to leave. Here's what the ruthless know that the kind refuse to learn. Walking away is not abandonment. It's alignment. You're not leaving people behind. You're walking toward the version of yourself that refuses to be diminished. Every time you remove yourself from a situation that disrespects you, you send a message to the universe and to yourself that your standards are non-negotiable. You're teaching yourself that peace matters more than presence, that solitude is better than bad company, that an empty table is more dignified than one filled with people who don't value you. This is self-respect in its highest form, not the kind you talk about, the kind you demonstrate through action. And here's the twist. The moment you become someone who can walk away, you'll rarely need to, because the energy of a person who's unafraid to leave is magnetic. People sense it. They feel the difference between someone who stays out of need and someone who stays out of choice. When you're no longer desperate for connection, your connections become real. When you're no longer afraid of being alone, the people who stay actually want to be there. Walking away isn't just about removing the wrong people. It's about becoming the kind of person the right people respect. Machiavelli wrote that princes who cannot adapt to changing circumstances will inevitably fall. The same principle applies to your life. The people and situations that served you 5 years ago may be the exact things destroying you today. But you won't let go because you're attached to who they used to be, what they used to mean, how things used to feel. This is emotional hoarding. You're keeping dead weight because throwing it away feels like admitting you were wrong to carry it in the first place. But here's the truth. You weren't wrong then. You're wrong now, wrong to stay when everything is telling you to go. The ability to walk away is the ability to evolve, and evolution requires leaving behind what no longer fits. Let's address the guilt, because that's what keeps most people trapped long after they've mentally checked out. You feel guilty for wanting to leave, guilty for prioritizing yourself, guilty for not being endlessly forgiving and patient. This guilt is a cage built by people who benefit from your imprisonment. They've conditioned you to believe that protecting yourself is selfish, that boundaries are cruelty, that walking away makes you the villain. But consider this: if leaving makes you the villain in their story, what were you in the story they told while disrespecting you? You were convenient, useful, easy, and the moment you stop being those things, they rewrite the narrative to make your self-respect look like betrayal. Don't fall for it. Their guilt is a manipulation tactic. Your freedom is the antidote. The ruthless understand that guilt is only valid when you've actually done something wrong. Removing yourself from harm is not wrong. It's necessary. You don't owe anyone your suffering. You don't owe anyone access to your energy just because they're used to taking it. Machiavelli observed that rulers who govern by appeasing everyone end up respected by no one. The same applies to your personal life. When you try to make everyone comfortable, you become a doormat. When you prioritize your peace over their convenience, you become powerful. The shift happens the moment you stop apologizing for exits that protect you. Now let's talk about the psychology of why walking away works so effectively. When you're always present, always available, always forgiving, people stop seeing you. You become part of the background, expected, taken for granted. But the moment you disappear, you become a question they can't answer. Where did they go? Why did they leave? What did I do? Your absence forces them to confront the space you used to fill. And suddenly they realize how much they depended on something they never valued. This is the paradox of human nature. We don't appreciate what we have until it's gone. And by the time we realize its value, it's too late to get it back. But here's the key. You can't walk away as a strategy to make them miss you. That's still emotional dependence. You have to walk away because you genuinely no longer need the outcome, whether they regret it, whether they reach out, whether they ever understand. None of that can matter. The exit must be for you and you alone. When you leave to manipulate a response, you're still controlled by them. When you leave to reclaim yourself, you're free the second you turn around. Machiavelli distinguished between those who act from necessity and those who act from choice. Necessity makes you reactive. Choice makes you sovereign. Walk away because you choose your peace, not because you're reacting to their disrespect. Here's what happens when you master the exit. You stop being afraid of loss. Most people stay in bad situations because they're terrified of the emptiness that comes after. They'd rather have toxic company than face themselves alone. But solitude is not emptiness, it's clarity. It's the space where you finally hear your own thoughts without the noise of people who never truly listened. When you walk away, you're not losing anything real. You're shedding illusions. The friendship that wasn't reciprocal, the relationship that stopped growing, the job that paid your bills but killed your spirit, These things were already gone. You're just finally admitting it. The powerful don't fear the void because they know something the weak don't. You can't build anything new while your hands are full of what's already broken. Walking away creates space. Space for better people, better opportunities, a better version of yourself. Every time you remove what doesn't serve you, you make room for what does. But most people never experience this because they're too busy clinging to the familiar. They'd rather suffer with what they know than risk the unknown. This is why they stay stuck. This is why they wake up 10 years later in the same painful situations, wondering how time passed. But nothing changed. Time passed because you refused to move. Let me tell you about the moment everything shifts. It's not when you walk away. It's when you stop wanting to go back. In the beginning, you'll be tempted. You'll remember the good moments. You'll wonder if you made a mistake. You'll feel the pull to return, to explain, to give it one more chance. This is normal. This is your attachment trying to survive. But if you can resist that pull, if you can sit with the discomfort and not react, something incredible happens. The craving fades. The memories lose their power. And one day, you'll think about what you left behind and feel nothing. Not anger, not sadness, nothing. That's freedom. That's when you know the exit was successful. When the thing that once consumed you becomes a distant memory you barely recognize. Machiavelli taught that the greatest leaders are those who can make difficult decisions without emotional interference. They assess the situation logically, determine the best course of action, and execute without hesitation. Walking away requires the same discipline. You can't let sentimentality cloud your judgment. You can't let fear of the unknown keep you in the known hell. You have to look at your life like a strategist, not a romantic. Ask yourself, is this situation moving me toward my goals or away from them? Is this person contributing to my growth or stunting it? Am I better with them or without them? Answer honestly, then act accordingly. Here's the difficult truth. Some people are only meant to be in your life for a season. They teach you something, they serve a purpose, and then the chapter ends. But we try to turn every chapter into the whole book. We try to make temporary people permanent, and in doing so, we trap ourselves in narratives that should have concluded long ago. The intelligent reader knows when a chapter is over. They don't reread the same pages hoping the ending will change. They close the book and pick up a new one. Your life is the same. Some stories end, and that's not tragic. It's natural. Fighting to keep dead things alive is what's tragic.